Tonight on Reel to Reel, we'll discover how some very special people in the Diocese of Camden are preparing the way by keeping the dream of St. John of God alive. Dr. Kelly will make a house call to warn us that with the arrival of spring comes the dangers of Lyme disease. And Father Al Masluck will take a humorous look at some common road signs. So slow down and come to a stop. It's time for Reel to Reel.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Paul Pirillo.
And I'm Pat Shelton. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
Did you pray today? More and more people across the United States and the world are praying. Tonight, a discussion on prayer with Father Joseph Marino.
Lyme disease. No doubt you've heard of it, but what is it and why does it concern us? Well, on tonight's checkup with Dr. John Kelly, we'll learn all we need to know about Lyme disease. But first, parents of healthy children are truly blessed. And parents of disabled children are blessed too, especially when there are facilities available to help them, such as we are about to see. Let's watch Preparing the Way.
Today, the needs of the mentally and physically challenged have never been greater. Fortunately, we are now actually seeing some of those needs being met. You can visit most public facilities and encounter accessible entrances, bathrooms, food counters, and telephone units. But what about education and services for the challenged population? In 1965, the Hospitaller Brothers of Ireland founded the St. John of God Community Services. The goal of the organization is to assist persons with disabilities in developing their skills, interaction with peers, and working with people without disabilities. This concept enables the special folks to lead productive and dignified lives in a variety of settings. Some of the programs available to the community start as young as infancy and continue through to adulthood.
This is a job you can do when you graduate and you could decide to go out and work. You can be a filer, you can file different things.
For parents of very young children, the Early Services Program at St. John of God provides a comprehensive intervention service to children from birth to the age of 2.
Once a baby is evaluated and we determine that there are indeed concerns about a baby's development, then we sit down with the parents and develop jointly a program that would meet the needs of the baby. And most of the time that includes activities that the moms and dads can do at home for their baby to encourage their development in the areas that are concerns. They come in, they may be scheduled to come in weekly for educational sessions where the baby comes in as a part of the group, but the key piece of it for us is that the mothers or the fathers or both come along with the baby every week and we teach them what to do at home.
The preschool handicap program for 3 to 5-year-olds continues to develop and adapt to the needs of this age group and their parents.
In terms of the actual program that we offer, it's very similar to any other kind of preschool program that children without disabilities would attend in the community. So if you came in and had the opportunity to observe in the classroom, you would see the children working in small groups on activities in a play type of setting. So for example, they might be in the housekeeping corner, playing with dolls, doing some kind of pretend cooking, all the while that there are really some skills that we are trying to teach at that particular time, whether it's language, whether it's some fine motor skills in terms of utilizing their hands by cooking, or our therapists might be trying to get the child to be able to stand against the stove and to do some cooking, because that might be a child who has difficulty with any kind of mobility in his or her environment. There are also other kinds of things that occur. We'll be doing art activities at the table. You'll see a lot of finger painting that would go on, all different kinds of what we call sensory activities, where children will try out different kinds of materials. There's also a time when the teachers and the students, as well as the therapist, will be doing some songs and finger plays. There will also be story reading time and lots of the other traditional kinds of activities that you see there.
Specialized day services for the severely and profoundly disabled from the ages of 6 through 21 years are also available to families who need them.
Here at the Granada Room restaurant, we serve two purposes. One is to train the clients that are coming in and also to service the rest of the St. John of God complex. We have many different functions. One is the restaurant itself. We serve outside customers, our staff, our clients, our students, and this gives the opportunity for the clients to actually be in a working environment, bussing tables, customer service, filling the customer's needs, setting tables, and dishwashing. In the morning, we're busy with salad preparation and food preparation for the lunchtime. The food service has many different aspects to it, and the clients are involved with all the aspects, such as requisitions for the different classrooms, catering functions for conferences or meetings, and we have our clients involved with just about everything that our functions here are. We serve approximately 1,500 people a week, so you can see that's a lot of bussing tables and that's a lot of food preparation.
Archbishop Damiano's school has established itself as a leader in southern New Jersey in educating students with moderate to severely developmental delays. From the youngest to the oldest student at Archbishop Damiano's school, preparation is underway for each youngster to find gainful employment upon graduation.
Well, we offer our youngsters here at Archbishop Damiano School the opportunity to practice their skills that they've learned in the classroom in the community. We may study how to use money in our classroom and practice it several days, and then for several days the following week we may take a trip out to the neighborhood grocery store. This is what's called community-based instruction, and certainly something that the staff and students here at Archbishop Damiano School are most proud of. Today I'm sitting in one of our classrooms and wanting to share with you some information about our technology. Our youngsters, although they may learn slower than other youngsters, certainly can have the opportunity to learn through technology. Computers have played an important part in our educational program here. Also, another part of our technology is the work we do with augmentative devices. Many of our population are unable to speak clearly, although they have many wonderful messages to share with us. And we use what's known as augmentative devices to assist them in learning how to communicate with their families and with other members of the community. Families are an important part of our program. Parents are here almost on a daily basis. We're pleased to have their support. As a matter of fact, they were one of the founding folks, along with the Hospitaller Order of Brothers, that first initiated our program over 25 years ago.
What we're looking at right now is our manufacturing plant in action. We have people with disabilities who are working at various tasks throughout the plant here. The tasks are, and the jobs are from various companies in the Delaware Valley. Our clients and employees work on various work-related attitudes and characteristics in the plant here. They learn how to be on time. They learn how to get along with their fellow co-workers, their supervisors. They learn how to come back from lunch on time. These are various skills that they learn by doing the contracts in the shop here.
Well, I take my cue from my role from an aspect of the life of St. John of God. And he wrote in one of his letters to the Duchess of Cisa, a noble lady whom he was looking for money from, to aid the poor and the needy. He said, "I feel my heart break each time I cannot answer the social need of one of my people. My heart is always moved when I see an unmet need." As leader here, I see myself assisting and animating or enabling both the small group of religious and my 160 staff of seeking to empower them to enable and to enrich the lives of everyone they come in touch with.
When Frankie was born 25 years ago, there was absolutely nothing around for these children. He's Down syndrome, but he's multiply handicapped because he has a very severe heart condition also. And we don't know what we would have done, because the only thing the doctors told us was to institutionalize him. We couldn't put him in a private institution because we had no money, and we took him home and loved him. And I found out about St. John of God's. They had come here in December. Frankie was born the following September. So, I mean, we really lucked out. But they didn't have an infant stimulation program at that time, or a Saturday morning, nothing. But I did go and register with Father Damien because he said they were going to start one. And it was 2 years later, 2 years of, we cried enough to drown ourselves, really, over this child. We knew nothing. You know, we couldn't get help from anybody. And he was like 2.5 when we started on a Saturday morning program here with the brothers. And that was the day, what do I say? The sun began to shine in our lives.
That mother's face, that expression, so much joy, and so grateful for St. John of God's School. Well, it's checkup time now with Dr. John Kelly. We're into the good weather. With good weather comes more gardening, walking in fields and woods, and the hazard of Lyme disease. Here's Dr. John to tell us how to protect ourselves from Lyme disease.
Now that spring has sprung, everyone is spending more time outdoors, trying to make up for all that time spent indoors during the long months of winter. With the arrival of the birds and flowers comes the return of the term Lyme disease, which springs up annually in the media like the tulips shoot up in the yard. Lyme disease, which is most prevalent in late spring and early summer, is a potentially serious disease which can have long-term side effects. Named after Lyme, Connecticut, where the first case of the disease was reported, Lyme disease is a progressive inflammatory disorder that involves the skin, joints, heart, and nervous system. It is caused by an organism carried principally by ticks. Lyme disease has been recognized in 32 states and in 18 countries and is the most prevalent tick-borne disease in the United States. In late spring and early summer, the disease-carrying tick is most prone to bite and thereby transmit the disease to humans. These bites may be small and are often difficult to detect, but can have serious consequences. If a person becomes infected, the disease can manifest itself in 3 stages, which can overlap or occur alone. The most common symptom of stage 1 is a bright red circular rash occurring a few days or up to a month after a tick bite. Other symptoms can include fever, chills, and fatigue. Stage 2 is characterized by involvement of the brain, nervous system, or heart, and manifests itself within 5 weeks of the bite. Symptoms such as headache, weakness, visual disturbances, irregular heartbeat, or chest pain may be present. Stage 3 is accompanied by arthritic symptoms months to years after the initial bite, with the knee being the most common joint affected. Chronic nervous system symptoms such as dementia can also occur in stage 3. If you are outside most of the time and have any of the symptoms described, see your doctor immediately. He or she can confirm your diagnosis with a simple blood test and treat you successfully with antibiotics. Although Lyme disease is more prevalent in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, there are precautions that everyone should take if they spend time outdoors. When outdoors, especially in wooded areas and fields, wear long pants and keep them tucked inside socks. Wear long-sleeve shirts if possible. Wear light-colored clothes to spot ticks readily. Keep shoes on, even if you're only in the backyard or on the lawn. Check children for ticks frequently and use an insect spray such as permethrin that kills instead of repelling ticks. Check pets for ticks and fit them with a tick collar, and never let pets on your furniture or in your bed. With spring in the air, we are all apt to be spending more time in the great outdoors, but before you go off to shake the doldrums of winter, take time to protect yourself and your family so that a simple dose of spring fever doesn't turn into a case of Lyme disease. For Checkup, I'm Dr. John Kelly. See you outside.
Dr. Kelly always dispensing good medical advice right here on Reel to Reel. Much more ahead, including a discussion on prayer with our studio guest, Father Joseph Marino. Please stay with us.
Set materials for Reel to Reel provided by Tague Lumber Incorporated, serving the Delaware Valley for over 75 years. And by John Wanamaker, fine stores in the Delaware Valley.
Dear brothers and sisters, we must never underestimate the power of prayer.
Babies with medical problems are waiting for you to open your heart and home. Call 215-587-3960 to find out how you can become a special medical foster parent.
Come on, let's go. Please, God, don't let us be late. Please let this car start. Come on, you guys, cut it out, please.
Give me my hat. No way.
God, let this car start. God.
You know how to pray. Now think about what you're praying for. There's power in prayer. A message from your Catholic neighbors.
We welcome your comments, suggestions, and donations and encourage you to write us at Real to Real, St. Charles Seminary, 1000 East Wynwood Road, Overbrook, PA 19096, or call us during regular business hours at 668-9842.
If I can get personal here for a moment, when was the last time you prayed? Was it 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, earlier today, last week, last month, last year? Well, statistics show that more people are praying regardless of religious denomination. Consider these statistics. In 1972, 53% of Americans prayed every day. In 1987, 57% did so. Here to discuss the power of prayer, as well as the Archdiocesan Year of Prayer, and a new public service campaign getting underway, is Father Joseph Marino, Director of the Office for Renewal, Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Father, welcome back. You were with us at the very beginning of the season, and you're here with us to discuss, I guess, the power of prayer and this new public service campaign that's getting started, as well as the prayer efforts getting underway in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. If you will, can you define, if there is a definition, prayer for us?
Well, St. Teresa of Avila, who is one of the foremost saints in the church that has given insights into prayer, says that there's probably a different form of prayer for every person who attempts to pray. So there are many, many definitions. But I guess most people would define prayer as the opportunity, the occasion in which we communicate with God. Most times, though, that people usually just center on the fact that they're talking to God, and very few times are we conscious of the fact that we also have to provide time for God to talk back to us.
Now, apparently, more people here in the United States are turning to prayer, with statistics showing that Americans pray at least once a week. 78% of Americans pray at least once a week, 57% at least every day, 26% pray as often as several times a day. More people are turning to prayer. Why is that, Father?
I don't really know why more people are turning to prayer, I guess except for the fact that maybe the Holy Spirit is working overtime and encouraging more and more people to turn to prayer. Usually when times are difficult, people have the tendency to turn towards prayer. There's been an opportunity in the United States for a lot of different types of groups of people who are encouraging prayer. Prayer is the most universal form of spirituality among all peoples. It's kind of the bottom line, the common denominator among all religious groups. And so I guess there's a lot of reasons possibly why people are turning to prayer.
Is there a correct way to pray?
There's a way of prayer that people should incorporate within their own style of praying. There should be an opportunity for people to become conscious that they are in God's presence, and that they should be doing more than just asking for things, that they should be giving God praise and thanks, underlining the word thanks for the last time that we went to Him in petition, asking Him for all kinds of things, and also asking for sorrow for our sins, for the offenses we've done against our neighbor and Almighty God, and giving God adoration, recognizing the place that God has within our lives and in the order of creation.
So it's more or less a two-way street. We talk to God, and we should also expect to hear from God, open our hearts up and hear what God wants us to know.
That's correct, and that requires a pause in prayer time, a time in which we don't get unnerved or unsettled just because it's silence or there's quiet, that we don't need to fill all of our prayer time with a whole lot of words. In fact, the great mystics, John of the Cross, Teresa of Avila, would tell us that the more we spend in prayer, the less and less we're saying, and the more conscious we are on God as the actor as opposed to ourselves.
Now, right before we started the interview, we saw a part of the Power of Prayer campaign that is being conducted by the Catholic Communications Campaign of the U.S. Catholic Conference. The Archdiocese is also involved in this campaign, more or less.
Well, it is, yes. It fits very, very nicely into our 9-year spiritual renewal that the Cardinal has called for within our Archdiocese and our first year of prayer. The United States Catholic Conference is trying to set up a whole national campaign of being able to direct people's attention to the power of prayer, that prayer is a source of power. It energizes us, it puts things back into focus, it gives us clarity of thought, it gives us the opportunity to get God's perspective on things.
Now, if people would like to know more information about the Year of Renewal in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, how could they go get that information?
I would encourage them to contact my office, the Office for the Renewal of Pastoral Life. The telephone number is 587-0500. Call just the Archdiocesan Office Building and someone will get the call ultimately to us. But I would encourage them to either write or call us.
Okay. Very good. We'd like to thank Father Marino for taking time with us to discuss the Archdiocesan Year of Renewal as well as the Power of Prayer campaign. And I would just like to conclude by saying that the next time you say, thank God it's Friday, why don't you stop and thank God for the rest of the week? Switching gears here now, we're going to count on some of our little experts out there in the reel-to-reel world and ask them if maybe they have the answer to that age-old question, what is heaven like?
I think heaven is in way far away where nobody can find. And I think it's like where heaven is like a place where angels fly and God is the king. I think it looks like outside it's kind of like yellow. Inside it's very peaceful with beautiful things. And if you go to this one place in the middle, you can see God and Jesus and Mary. A city for souls where everything goes right and the Lord is the mayor. Like little paths on the clouds and maybe houses made out of clouds. There's a throne with a red carpet. It looks like in the winter when the snow's laying on the ground all fluffy. There's white clouds in heaven. Angels are singing and everyone's happy there. Well, there's a bunch of clouds with a lot of nice beds to lay in, and all inside there's red walls and everything. It's like paradise, and there's like really fresh water and waterfalls and stuff, and it hardly has any gravity, so you can float around and be happy. There's flowers everywhere, and it's a beautiful park where there's no pollution. There are golden gates, white clouds, angels singing. I also like heaven because my grandpapa's there, and I hope he is praying for me because I'm praying for him.
Kid talk. Heaven has red walls. That's very interesting, very interesting. It's time now for Father Al Masluck with his very interesting perspective on things. Let's listen to his second thoughts on road signs.
When we were kids, we learned in the Catechism that a sacrament is an outward sign instituted by Christ to give grace. I do a lot of driving in ministry, visiting hospitals and shut-ins, communion calls, and so forth, and I think of that definition often, especially when I see road signs. But when I look at road signs, I also think about the fact that a sign's supposed to somehow clue us in to the reality behind the road sign. Somehow it's supposed to let us know what the sign is trying to say to us. Well, you know what? Some signs aren't all that clear. I remember when I was a kid in rich neighborhoods, rich people could afford watchdogs. But today, in the 90s, in really rich neighborhoods, look what these people have. Watch children. I bet it costs a lot more to feed them. Here's the silliest one I've seen in a long time. It either means Barishnikov the deer lives here. Looks like the deer's doing some kind of ballet. Or North Pole ahead, low-flying reindeer. I think this one's supposed to be a school zone, but looks more like beware of pickpockets. The guy behind is picking her blind. Here's a great one. The guy can't see the traffic signal up ahead. Do you think he's going to see this stupid sign? Here's a pair of signs for people who don't know if they're coming or going. I was following a really bad driver one time. He thought he had to swerve back and forth like this for the next quarter mile. This is some kind of a directional sign made up by somebody who just can't make up their mind. And apparently it was made by the same guy who made this one. A lot of times when there's work and construction up ahead, you'll see this figure, a flag man. It lets you know that there's a little guy out there waving the flag, so you're careful and you don't run him down. Well, anywhere clergymen gather, there's always an abundance of a particular group, which I believe is on the endangered species list in some dioceses. Hence the practicality of this sign, Monsignor Crossing. We'd hate to see anything happen to the cute little guys. And finally, a sign that needs no explanation. It means, sorry, Father's not available right now. Ah yes, signs are an important part of life, but they're only useful if they're intelligible. So if they're not big enough in the right place and not clear enough, we just might miss one. That's very, very important.
Morning, Father.
Good
You have any
morning.
idea why I stopped you?
Maybe because you watched Second Thoughts? No? Why?
You aware of that stop sign you went through?
No, I didn't see it. For Second Thoughts, I'm Father Al Masluck. Oh, I hope this guy's Catholic.
Ouch. Ouch.
That wraps up this edition of Reel to Reel. Until next week, I'm Paul Pirillo.
And I'm Pat Shelton. Hope to see you next week at this time. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
What can you do about AIDS?
Create hope.
It's really important that you listen.
Put quality in their lives.
Seek reconciliation.
We need to hug and we need to say, I love you.
This has been some week.
Thank God it's Friday.
Isn't it time you thank God for the rest of the week? There's power in prayer. A message from your Catholic neighbors.